Welcome everyone. This is Shelley Dale Smith with Bright Spot Ed talking to you today about why your old strategy stinks, especially in a pandemic, and what to do about it. So first of all, what is strategy? It really is just how to achieve our goals. And in education, we have tended to follow one strategy, which I think is the reason that knowing about the different strategy types is helpful. Martin Reeves talks about 5 types: classical, adaptive, visionary, shaping, and renewal. He uses the analogy of painting, and painting a still life is a good example of the classical strategy. This is used in a stable environment where you have a product that is not changing very much. The competition is staying about the same, and we're really not going to be doing anything drastically different in the next 5 years. This is the reason we've been able to write 5-year strategic plans. And when we look at the market, we can develop our plans accordingly because it's pretty stable and predictable. Now, of course, the downside of this is that it can be top down and lack buy-in from the people who are actually doing this work. And Douglas Reeves talks about how to write plans, and he really focuses on the size and the prettiness being inversely related to the quality of action and the impact on student learning. So we know that there's some problems with the kinds of plans that we've done based on this classical strategy. Another strategy is adaptive, and this is exactly where we are right now in this global pandemic. And you see the picture of the artist trying to paint a landscape while the light is changing. And this really represents that rapidly changing, unpredictable environment where whatever we're doing right now may have to be different in a week, in a month, and especially in a year. And so what we're seeing is experimentation and changing rapidly. Now, this is especially taxing on our organizational structures. I believe that culture is essential to the effective implementation of any of these strategies, but especially for adaptive, because it is asking people to do things that perhaps we've never done before. The next strategy type is visionary, and this is represented in the picture by this very abstract, innovative product. And this is what we often see. We see visionary leaders, we see visionary actions. We don't necessarily see organizations taking on visionary strategies. And we do this lots of times when there is an opening where consumers are unhappy with what has been currently offered. And I think that we've seen this in education where our education services maybe did not fit needs of families, and so they've gone to charter schools or online schools. And so this is very timing dependent, but it also has the potential for huge growth. Another strategy type is shaping, and we certainly see schools and districts using this shaping strategy where we really are bringing together different people. And in this picture, we see all these people coming together to paint. Perhaps they're going to paint a mural together, but where you bring people together and you get new value out of this collaboration. And so we certainly see this in our current strategies. The last strategy type is renewal, and we certainly don't want anyone to be in this situation, but if you are, it is a do or die. Urgent action has to be taken for you just to survive, and so it's focusing on survival, not innovation or growth. This certainly can come after you have survived, and there is no painting at this point just because that's not your focus. You've got to survive. So Martin Reeves really talks about the blending of these strategies, and that's where I hope that many of you can gain value from this discussion today. Really looking at what are the factors for which strategy, and so looking at the environment. Again, global pandemic, epic change, and so this is going to look different because of our environment. Competitive analysis, and this is something that we've been facing for quite some time, but it's been hard to change because change is just hard. Product performance, and this really goes back to competition. If you don't have a lot of competition, then your product doesn't have to perform. The more competition you have, the greater your product has to perform. Timing is everything. And then also, what is the financial position? So the critical points I hope that you take away from this is that strategy is more than just this planning process. It's really about implementation. There's been a lot of work in the business world about narrowing the gap between planning and implementation. And this work to me is really gotten a lot of traction on brightline.org. And this is where businesses have come together and they're just saying it's costing us a lot of money and it's hurting our organizations to have our plans fail. And so I see this in schools a lot of times with initiative fatigue, where we've made a plan, it didn't go as well as we wanted, so we trash it and then start over with something totally different. And so I do think that there is a lot of value in strategy, not just being your plan, but how you accomplish what you set out to do. Peter Drucker, I love him. He talks about plans are only good intentions unless they immediately degenerate into hard work. And we know that that really is the purpose of a plan, but it's so easy sometimes for it to sit on a shelf in one of those 3-ring binders. So the value of a crisis, and this of course has been a global pandemic with many negatives, but we certainly don't want to not learn lessons about how to get better during this time. And so what I think we can learn from this is that we've really got to focus on what matters. We've seen schools and districts be able to quickly adapt. They've been able to empower their employees, and they've had to communicate in ways that have never been done before. And so if we can take the best of both worlds, which is this strategic process and thinking that we've learned in this classical strategy, and combine with the adaptive and visionary and even shaping strategies, then we can really learn and profit from this. I hope that this was helpful for you today. Please check out our free resources on brightspotted.com and also on our social media. Thank you so much.